The Cigar Nerds Podcast.
And welcome to Cigar Nerds Podcast. I'm your host, Smokin' Joe.
I'm Brad Jackson.
So, we got some action for you, and I've got a kind of an action cigar to go with it.
I got an action cigar, too, in the form of a vaping apparatus.
Someone didn't make it to pick up a cigar. But I'm smoking the Kill Bill series KB Part 4 by La Palina Cigars.
I haven't smoked too many La Palinas, but the few I've had, I've enjoyed.
Yeah, this one is a full strength with a Honduras Nicaraguan filler, Honduras/Nicaraguan fillers, with Honduran Corojo 99 wrapper. And I gotta say, the artwork on the band is kind of cool because it's almost comic booky, and I mean, there's blood splatter on it, and it says, KB Part 4, and basically that's the sizes of each, so they're all the same, but there's a Part 1, 2, 3, and 4, kind of based on the Vitola, the size. So I'm smoking the Part 4 because that was the biggest one they had.
And
which is about I'd say 6x54. So not my usual 660s, but this is as best I could do.
I mean, I'm good with the 54, the 60 has its place, but, realistically, I look at that, and I would have said it was a 660. Just, sitting across the table from you.
Yeah, and, hell, I've been smoking so much of the biggest Diablos, that 770 bastard, that at this point a 660 feels a little small in my hand.
So what kind of tasting notes you getting out of that?
Oh, see, this is the bad part when, you don't bring a cigar to the table, because I'm horrible at giving, tasting notes and whatnot, because I'm like, I don't have the refinement. I'm like, I
I taste
good.
Blue Jolly Rancher out of mine.
This has got more of it's like a little bit of spicy pepper, kind of a sweetness. It's not, they said it's full strength, but yeah, that I guess is,
but I'm wondering,
your,
that being a Honduran and Nicaraguan blend, if, it's going to kind of have that one too, touch of, sweeter, creaminess with, a little bit of that white pepper, peeking through from the Nicaraguan tobaccos. But,
yeah, definitely picking up a little pepper, but not a whole lot of strength yet, at least not from my,
we are 3 minutes into your cigar smoking endeavor, so.
Yes, this one might be a slow burn and sneak up on us. All right. See, that's why you're here, because you're the one that's like, my palate tastes this, this, and this. And I'm just like, dumb man like smoke.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I
was like, it's good or it's not good. Like, I'm not the
I'm
not the sommelier.
It's
I
almost
can't taste my wine and
back
say,
in the days we were doing beer
true.
reviews and be like, yes, this is drinkable beer. No, that is not drinkable beer. I don't need to go on a 10-minute diatribe, talking all the ingredients of said beer. Just hey,
like I say, when you just break down a flavor profile, then I'm like, oh yeah, I get what you're saying, but it's like, just in my brain, it's like,
all I'm doing is manipulating you. I'm just putting ideas. Yes.
This tastes like sweet cream. Yeah, I taste sweet cream now.
We literally did that,
head.
To an entire panel room with, some $2 no-name cigars. And literally we had people convinced that was the greatest cigar they had ever smoked, It just
was a great experiment. But this week, to go with our action cigar, we're talking about a little action film that came out kind of last year, and I think it's one of those, I think it's starting to get a cult following, but it kind of got overlooked when it came out because it came out kind of in the middle of theaters being shut down, and so like I missed it when it was out, but now that it's on streaming, I was like, this fucking movie is awesome. And we're talking about Nobody. That's the name of the movie. Nobody.
Literally nobody has watched it.
Yeah, and if you got to take on the Russian mafia, you should call them the Strike Force. StrikeForceEnergy.com. Use your promo code Cigar Nerds for 20% off your order. Comes in little tiny tin pouches, so if you need to like flee or set up some booby traps, it's not going to weigh you down.
I like it.
So with that, without further ado, we'll be right back. And we are back. It's time to talk about Nobody.
Nobody
but is he a
wants
nobody?
To be somebody. I feel like there's a Marilyn Manson song there.
He's kind of that was the other movie. John Wick had the Marilyn Manson songs.
I'm just saying, Marilyn Manson song's got a, I think the name of the song is Nobody's. Plural.
There was definitely way more than no bodies. There was a lot of bodies in this.
Oh, there definitely was, but I love the whole downplay of the role of an auditor. Oh, I'm just the book guy.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything exciting. I have no special skills. I'm just
kind of reminded me of that Ben Affleck movie, The Accountant, where it's like I'm just the math guy, and then I'm going to kill a lot of people.
Yeah, math makes my brain hurt too, so I'd probably kill
make
over.
Other people hurt too. And we'll probably get into the specifics of it, but I definitely got straight up John Wick vibes off of this. Like even like the plot of Russians being the bad guys. I'm like, this looks, and for good reason, because it was written by Derek Kolstad, which is the writer of the first 3 John Wick movies. So if you see some similarities between Nobody and John Wick, it's like, yeah, same writer.
I mean, there were definitely some similarities. At the same time, like, I mean, this was all around a cool action film. I like how they divided things up, where there was sort of the lulls in between of, just dealing with everyday life and getting caught in the, monotony of never breaking routine and till it's time to break said routine.
Yeah, I mean, I felt that of like, the boredom that, because before you even gets into who this guy is, it's like the movie starts with this like thing. It was like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and it's literally like shows him doing like the same fucking thing every single day, and I'm like, oh,
missing
dude.
Trash day.
Yeah, it's like even like the breakfast in the morning. His wife says the same thing to him like every single day, and it's like, I was like, dude, I feel that for someone who's like had to work at home for the last like year and a half, and it's like it's the same thing every day. I wake up, I go to the shed, I sit at the shed at 5 o'clock, I go back home. Sometimes I go to the gym, sometimes I go to the cigar shop. Well, I go to the cigar shop a lot, but it's like I was like, oh, this from coming from someone who's like used to like working in law enforcement, where no day is the same. It's like you're like I guess that constant like adrenaline drip. Even when you're not doing anything, it's like there's shit going on. It's not like you're not sitting at a desk for 8 hours doing the same thing all day, every day. And it's like, oh man, I feel this guy's pain. I was like, oh, the monotony.
For some reason, like that totally gave me, oh shit, the zombie movie, but it was kind of like a comedy. Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, Shaun of the Dead. Yes, like the kind of the beginning of
like
Shaun of the Dead.
I was getting those type of vibes, and that was totally on my brain until it was time for me to say so.
That's okay. I thought you were talking about Zombieland. I was like, but yeah, now that's totally how kind of Shaun of the Dead starts too, with someone who's in a total rut until the world kind of goes to shit.
And I will prevail, or I will survive, or, something.
And I like the casting of this, too, because this could have quite easily been another, like, Bruce Willis or Sylvester Stallone, like, just stupid action movie. But casting, the fuck? Bob Odenkirk as Hutch Mansell, who is the Mr. Nobody. Yeah, because he does not look like your typical action star.
I mean, he's not jacked and, just begging for attention. It's,
And what's funny is because he's, I mean, when you first see him, you think he's just like a pussy family man, like works as a kind of an accountant at his father-in-law's company, and very like, goes on his daily runs, but you don't see this guy as a badass until it's time to do badass shit. But if you look at like real, spoiler alert, his background is some kind of special forces and assassin and whatnot. But yeah, like I said, he doesn't look like your typical action star. But if you look at the guys that actually do that type of work, they don't look like action stars either. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, you look up our favorite Jack Carr. He's like not a huge dude, but total badass guy in real life. But he's fit, but he's not like roided up giant motherfucker like typical action stars are. Even like hell, Evan Hafer from Black River Coffee's Green Beret. It's like those like special forces guys, with some exceptions, tend to be like not giant fucking dudes, because you got to be able I guess mobility is better than mobility and endurance is better than just brute strength.
Something about, slow is smooth, but smooth is fast.
I'm slow, but I'm not.
Dude, you're the tank, okay? Like, that's it. Like,
I don't fly. I'm the tank.
You're like, they have me surrounded. All right, I got these guys beating up on me. Take them out.
Oh yeah, but Bob Odenkirk, I mean, he, usually a more comedy guy. I mean, he's got serious in the last couple of years with, Breaking Bad and some other stuff. But yeah, him as like, as this.
I mean, which he played both roles exceptionally well. Like, I mean, he absolutely passed as, yep, I hate my mundane life.
Yeah, him. Like his wife, his kids don't respect him. His wife is like, kind of hates him. He's like, she has like a pillow fort like built between them.
I mean, there's like that complacency, right? Like, you've been in relationships for many years, and it's like, without something to break up that routine and that comfort that you find yourself in, it's like, we got to get out of this rut, rediscover ourselves, what, we enjoyed and everything else. And for him, that's, apparently he just needs an invitation from many, many Russians.
Yeah. So his, routine continues on. And I say, I rewatched it again this morning. I didn't realize that the father-in-law was Michael Ironsides. He is looking rough.
I did not realize that either.
Yeah, like the father-in-law who owns the metal shop or whatever. Yeah, he oh yeah, check it out. There's like a face with X's over the eyes on the inside of the label.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, Michael Ironsides is not does not look like he did in any 80s movie he was in. But I'm like, oh yeah, that was 40 years ago. He does look like a grandpa now.
Yeah, dude. That's 3 decades. Like, it used to be the 80s. Oh, that's 10 years ago. No, that's now turned into 30.
I mean, he was like, I still think Michael Ironsides, and I think Starship Troopers. Not the grandpa from Nobody. I was like, did not recognize him at all. Oh, but yeah, his routine monotony gets broken up when a couple of bumbling burglars break into his house, and he wakes up and typical suburban dad, grab my golf club to defend myself, and then they get the jump on him, and they're like, "Where's all your cash?" He's like, "There's a bowl of like ones on the table that for the kids' lunch."
Well, I mean, I thought it was kind of interesting because it's the son, and I'm assuming he's in wrestling or something, because he does a pretty good takedown on one of the burglars, and then you see the dad have the drop on the female burglar, and he's just like, take everything in the bowl and have a nice day.
Yeah, tells his son to let the guy go, and
and everybody's looking at that, and even I'm thinking, the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
and you see like the because there's been no kind of foreshadowing on what he actually does, and when he comes around the corner with the golf club, when they have the kid down, it's like you see it start to bubble to the surface, and he's like, "No, I'm gonna ease back and tell them to let the kid go." But then again, she had the gun on them. If he had whacked her with the golf club, it quite possibly gun could have gone off. But then later on, he's like the first time you kind of get a sense of like, this guy's not what he is like after he goes to work the next day, and his brother like radios him with like a secret radio that's in his office, and he's like, "Well, tell me about it."
Ham horn radio.
Yeah.
Me.
He's like, "Well, tell me about it." And he's like, they were nervous, like, and starts rattling off all these details, like, Old Smith & Wesson 38, tape on the grip, hadn't been shot in a long time.
It wasn't loaded.
And it wasn't loaded. Like, he had noticed, like, all these things, and it's like,
this dude's got a set of skills.
Yeah, because, typically someone who's, getting robbed in the middle of the night, that adrenaline's going to go through the roof, and they're not going to be calm and collected enough to, like, rattle off all those descriptions. And you see him, like, kind of scribbling the tattoo that he saw on the wrist, so he's like, even developing clues, even though he's trying to still like, no, I'm gonna be the dad. This is the role I chose. I'm not gonna go kill everyone yet. And then
even then, like, it doesn't really. There's nothing there to indicate. Yeah, he rattles off the details, but it's not like, hey, I am fully equipped to, enact immense violence upon you. Like, there's... So...
Well, before that, they get his, like, douchebag brother comes in there, and he's like, pulls a gun on him, and he's like, "Here, man, take this and make sure you protect my sister." And he's like, "I don't want it." He's like, "Doesn't matter what you want. Like, you need it." And he, like... And, like, for a second there, he actually, like, goes from just, like, I'm holding a gun, I don't want to do, to, like, actually gripping the gun and, like, I could just shoot this motherfucker right now. And then, hides it in the office freezer.
I mean, that's brilliant. We all have shit in our freezers that haven't been touched for months, possibly years.
Hey, you need you need your everyday carry gun, you need your shower gun, and you need your freezer gun. And your office shotgun.
Lots of shotguns, which we'll get into later.
Oh, yeah. And then he goes to see his father, who's played by Christopher Lloyd, a.k.a. Doc Brown, who's apparently a retired FBI agent. And I like his character, too, because he starts...
Oh, yeah, absolutely, because once again, this is another one of those, it's like...
You think he's just kind of a dawdling old man, but then later on, it turns out, oh, no, he's a badass.
Well, and his character... like, just in his conversations, like, this is where you first get, your little bit of, foreshadowing,
Yeah, because he said, while they're eating dinner and watching, like, cowboy films, he's like, "Do you even remember who you are? Because I do." And it's like, okay, that's a kind of an odd statement. And then he, goes home, because he's like, yeah, and, it's like, I'm just going to, go back. And that's the other thing, too, because, like, later on, you find out that his wife knew what he did before they got married or whatnot. So, if she married, like, total badass action dude, and then he turns into this meek, mild-mannered guy. No wonder she's kind of like getting bored with him. Cause,
well,
like,
at the same
it's
time,
like, I married Rambo, and now I'm like, living with, fucking.
But I think
know,
that's by design,
insert
though.
Nerd guy here.
Because it's, hey, we're gonna start, our suburban life, have our 2 kids, and you can't be fucking Rambo and trying to raise a family and be like, the Russian mafia's after me, but the baby's crying. Like,
yeah.
you gotta.
And everyone too, like, just giving him so much shit about, like, everyone else around
what
him
he
was like,
didn't do.
Yeah, you wish a motherfucker would. His kid's like, you could have took him, Dad. He's like, no, that wasn't safe. And even the cops are like, so they broke into your house with a pizza box. Yeah. Good thing that, if this was my family, this would have ended a lot different. And then his, like, neighbor who's got, like, a badass, like, old Charger. He's like, oh yeah, I wish they would have chose my house. I need the exercise. And he's like, check out my cool hot rod. I inherited it from my dad. It goes 0 to 60, and I'm about to fucking find out.
That was another great line. Like, I've always heard that about, buy the car that scares you. Otherwise, you're going to be bored.
Oh, yeah, but through the whole thing, it's kind of the thing, too, is like, be afraid of the quiet man in the room. Because everyone around him is like, this guy's just a pussy. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, no, he's the most violent of us all. Oh, but yeah, when he gets home and his daughter's like, I can't find my kitty cat bracelet. It was in that bowl. And that was like, I'm not sure that's like enough to justify like, the rampage that came after that, but he was looking for an excuse.
Okay, we've already established it was the same writers that did John Wick. John Wick is all about a man that lost his dog. Nobody is all about a guy trying to locate his daughter's kitty cat bracelet.
Oh, yeah. But it's like, at the same time, I'm like, no, this has been bubbling for like a day and a half at this point. Like, he's looking for an excuse to break bad. He's like, those motherfuckers took my daughter. My son's kind of an asshole. I don't mind they punched my son. But they took my daughter's kitty cat bracelet. And just freaking, like, leaves and goes back to Dad's house and, like, steals his emergency cash and his FBI badge. And he walks in. He's like, what are you doing? So I got something I got to do, Dad. And the old man doesn't even question. He's like, well, I guess you better get to doing it then.
Yeah.
Old man's like, oh, yeah. He's about to whip out them skills. And I love when he's, basically running an investigation. He's going, like, from tattoo shop to tattoo shop, flashing the old badge, pretending to be a cop, and trying to find the person whose tattoo he saw. And he finally walks into, like, the shadiest one and, pulls out the badge. And, like, there's, like, there's, like, an old, like, Desert Storm, like, vet, there. And he's like, that badge is expired for about 20 years. And the tattoo guy pulls out some brass knuckles, and he's like, I don't think that's you on the picture either. He's like, so what do you want? And, like, the other dudes in the tattoo shop, starts pulling out bats and shit. And then he's like, pulls out this wad of cash. He's like, I'm just a guy trying to find somebody. And he's like, well, then you probably shouldn't be waving that cash around. He's like, really? There's 3 types of people that'll wave cash around. People that don't know any better, people who are trying to intimidate, and people like me that really wished a motherfucker would try to take it. And at that point, the vet sees, like, a tattoo on his wrist that says, like, it's like 7 Deuce offsuit, and apparently that's supposed to mean some kind of military unit or whatnot. But that vet guy all of a sudden gets scared, and he's like,
I gotta go.
Thank you for your service. And he's like, you too, old timer. And the guy, like, goes into the back, locks, like, every single lock on the door, and the tattoo guy's like, you just scared the fuck out of him. Who the hell are you? What can we do for you, sir? They're like, start putting they're like, if, grumpy old vet that hangs out here, that we think's a badass is, like, scared of this guy, we probably should be scared of this guy. But yeah, when he tracks down the people that robbed him, turns out it's just a couple with a child that they're trying to get money for, like, medical expenses. So he's like, all right, I understand it. You're not the hardened criminals I thought you were, and also apparently you don't have my daughter's bracelet, so I'm just going to take my watch back that you stole and leave you to your business. But then he's gotten so jacked up where it's like, I was waiting for the violence, and I didn't get the violence, and he's just kind of like got tactical blue balls because he didn't get to kick anybody's ass. And then, as luck would have it, a bunch of drunk Russians crash their car in front of the bus he's on. And I thought, like, the voiceover in his head is like, they say when a window closes, God opens a door. And the drunk Russians are trying to get on the bus. He's like, please open that door. When the bus driver lets them on, and they're all just, like, drunk and disorderly. It's just that grin, like, finally gonna get to kick somebody's ass.
Lots of asses.
And this, like, really the first action sequence we get of the movie, with where you find, like, all right, is he just a mild-mannered dad or with some anger issues, or is this a man with some actual skills?
We got to talk poker for a minute.
Okay.
So apparently, the two of diamonds means that you don't make a mistake. The seven of spades, and statistically speaking, in poker,
yeah, we all know it's like the worst
hand
in poker.
But the seven represents to be a certainty of truth. So it represents he knows he has a bad hand, but he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I was looking at that, trying to see if that was like an actual related to some kind of actual military unit. Like I said, I found what you just read there, but couldn't find. I think it's something they made up before the movie, because I couldn't find any like actual military unit that uses that as their symbol. At least that what my 5 minutes of Googling could find.
Yeah, no, I think it was just something that.
But yeah,
I wonder how many people now are going to have
7 deuce tattoos.
Yes.
I mean, I got the dead man's hand, but yeah, I don't have a 7 deuce tattoo yet.
But then again, maybe that's a warning, for other people to be like, this dude's about to deal you a hand that you can't win.
Yeah. Oh, but that fight scene in the bus was just, and it wasn't even like fancy. Like, it wasn't like John Wick, where it was it was a lot more brutal. I mean, it was like, and kind of like the first half of the fight, he's getting about as damaged as much damage as he's putting out, he's receiving. So it's like, this is a guy who's like rusty. So like he gets stabbed, and he does a fairly good job of holding his own until they throw him through a window, and then he just gets up, and he's like, I'm gonna go back on the bus. Just don't call the cops yet. And when he crawls back on the bus, he's like, all right, that was round 1. I've got the dust knocked off now. And then he goes in and fucks them all up on the second half of that fight.
Dude, that was probably one of the longest and coolest drawn-out fights. And I love the fact, too, that, Bob Odenkirk did most of his stunts in, this movie and everything. And, I like the realism aspect of,
like
it's not like, oh, I've got superpowers, I'm going to... Nah, dude, he legit got his ass beat, but...
He ended up taking out, 6 dudes eventually. And like I said, it was kind of like a slow start. He's like, all right, I got to get the rust off, get my head back in the game.
Beforehand.
Yeah, then after he gets back on the bus for round 2, it's kind of like Rocky says, it's not how hard you hit, it's how hard you get hit and can get back up. And just like, he'll breaks the one dude's neck, and then like gives him a emergency tracheotomy to keep him alive, and this and then just like wanders off into the sunset. And then you get I like that next day he's like all like cocky and shit, and like, yeah, I'm gonna make some bacon tacos for breakfast, go slap my wife's ass or whatever. He's like now that he's released the violence and kind of gone back to a little bit more of his a kind of original.
I mean, that's it.
He's like, he's like, just like how happy he is the next day after this.
I mean, there's only one thing you can do. I mean, after extreme violence, is extreme sex and extreme amounts of bacon.
Yeah, just come home and like he's like wife's like, "Where'd you go?" And he's like, just all beat to shit. And he's like, "I've had a hell of a day." And she's just like, "All right, let me patch you up." And he's like, that's for him. You like find out that his wife actually knew what he did and stuff like that. So he's like, while she's patching him up, she's like, just like the old days, huh? So it's like, I knew the kids probably had no idea who he was, but
well, and I like this. Dad, what happened? You should see the other guy. Like,
and good takedown, kid. You had my back. I'm proud of you. Yeah. He's like, okay, what the hell's going on here? He's like, I'll make lasagna
Dad
tonight.
got his balls back.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, then you get to introduce to Yulen, who's like the local Russian mafia guy who apparently is in charge of the Russian mafia has a 401k that is like, they're kind of like their savings, retirement savings for the mafia, and it's like floating around like to different gangs have to guard it for, I guess, a certain amount of time. And he's like the weirdest Russian mafia guy because he's like, I'm flashy, I'm going to have a nightclub, and I'm going to sing and be the star at my nightclub while I'm also a Russian mafia guy. But then, like, the Russian mafia guy's like, are you sure you can handle this job? Because you're all flashy and singing and stuff. And he's like, no, I got this. Just the one guy that mean-monged him, he breaks his martini glass and, like, stabs him up, rips his face up and snaps his neck in the middle of the club. And everyone's just like, we saw nothing. He's like, are you convinced now that I can handle this job?
He's like, yeah, but what did he do?
Do you know who that was? He's like, no. Enlighten me. I like when he gets the call that, because apparently the one kid that got his neck snapped and who's apparently paralyzed and on a respirator is his brother. So he goes to the hospital, and like after he sees his brother, and they're like, him and his like right-hand man are going to see the other minions that all got the shit beat out of him, and he just randomly grabs like a chair from the lobby, and then as soon as he walks in the room, the one guy's like, "Hey, boss," and he just like throws the chair at him. It's like, that's the way you get somebody's attention. You just walk in a room and throw a fucking chair.
I mean, you already got your ass beat. You're sulking your wounds, and here comes the boss. To beat that ass some more with a fucking chair. They're like, boss, I don't want to make you more angry, but I mean, it was one dude.
Well, somebody find him, and apparently he dropped his fucking bus pass. Oh, I like after that he's like has his like hacker chick like find out every you can on this dude for me, and she's like, he's like, his dad's in an old folks home. This guy's just like a mild mannered dude, works at a whatever company. He shouldn't be that much of a problem. And she's like, if you can't tell a wolf in sheep's clothing, like what do I need you for? She's like, all right, fine, let me dig deeper. I know a guy at the Pentagon. And like
one blackmail package coming up.
Yeah. So the guy's like, tries to look up the file, and it's like access denied, so he has to go to the basement, and he finds this file that's just like
redacted.
It's got like pictures of him and nobody. And then like he sends her like all these like pictures of stuff he's done, and she just like walks in and like throws the file at the boss. She's like, you don't have to pay me. I'm leaving. This one's on you. Y'all have offended the devil, and I don't want no part of this.
The wolf in sheep's clothing has awakened. Because from here, it gets pretty fucking intense.
Yeah, I mean, it's like...
I mean, that's the thing, is like, once this movie picks up, like, the foot doesn't come off the gas.
No. And you really get no kind of explanation of his skills until that, after the Russians come to his house for the first time. So he sends, like, Russians after, the Russian guys send his crew to capture him. And, he sees him coming, and it's like, all right, everybody put down your lasagna and go to the basement. And then all of a sudden there's, like, flips the switch, and there's, like, a keypad. It's like, oh, this basement's actually a panic room that none of y'all knew about. And he's like, don't call 911. And then proceeds to fuck up everybody. That one guy where he grabs the guy and like basically chokes him out with his own gun sling. Like the sling's like around, and he's literally like standing on the dude's chest, like pulling up on the gun, like hanging him with his own, and then somebody comes around the corner, and then the gun's like upside down, and he still like hits the trigger and shoots the guy that's coming around the corner as he's strangling this dude with his own sling. And like, oh, when he grabs the knife and just friggin' just like starts murking dudes with a kitchen knife. It's like, until he gets like tased and ends up in the trunk. But yeah, you get no explanation of these skills until he escapes from the trunk, and he's like explaining to like the one Russian guy who's like, you know, half dead. And he's like, I'm an auditor. He's like, what that means is I worked for a lot of those 3-letter agencies, and I'm the last guy you would like to see show up at your door because I couldn't arrest anybody, so I made sure there was no one left to arrest. So it's like one of those guys when, you know, your 3-letter agencies, you know, CIA, NSA, FBI, something like, we have a problem we need fixing.
It's almost like the adjudicator, but not.
And it's funny because he keeps like trying to like tell his life story to like, and then the person like dies. So we get a little bit of his story, and he's like, fuck, he's dead. I gotta find someone else to finish my story.
Where was I? Oh yeah, I was just telling your buddy over here.
Yeah, goes back to the house, and but yeah, that before how he escapes the trunk and everything was kind of cool too, because he's like opens the trunk, and he's like, we're going too fast. Hey, here's a fire extinguisher, and just like pops out from the trunk and like gasses the whole car and causes it to flip, and then like I said, gets home and tells his family to take off, and I was like, I'll explain everything after I clean all this up, and then his next like drags all the bodies into the basement, and he's like, listening some music, sipping some whiskey, and he's like, and there's like one guy who's like still kind of half alive on the couch, and he's like, all right, where was I? let me finish my backstory now that I've got an audience again.
I don't know. I kind of love that, little story of, you see him dousing, everything in gasoline and whatnot. And he's like, oh, the funny thing about bones, is at a certain degree, there's none left. And this basement's designed to burn 2 times that amount. I forgot the actual...
Yeah, it was like... Yeah, it was
then again, like... It's like one of those things, it's like, I want to Google to see if that's accurate, but at the same time, it's like...
So he's like, yeah, don't worry.
Do I really want that in my search history?
It's like, don't worry, no one will find you in the rubble. But he's like, so, let me finish my story. A few chapters back, I tracked down this guy who had, like, embezzled, like, $3 million from, like, a military base or something, and he's all crying. Normally, and he's like, him changing the details of the story. He's like, I had him, with a suppressed PPK. No, it was H&K UMP 45. He's like that. He's like, PPK. That's 2 James Bond. I gotta like change up the details so it sounds better. And then he's like, normally I'd finish these dudes off before they started crying, but for some reason it sounded like he really was sorry, so I decided to let him go and came back a year later, fully expecting him to have gone back to doing bad shit, and I could finally kill him. But no, he had actually retired and got a family and kids and was like working a regular 9 to 5. And it's like, you motherfucker. And he's like, I'm not jealous, but at that point, like, I wanted that. So I told my bosses I'm going to retire. Moved to the suburbs, had some kids, but I kind of overcorrected. I went from being too violent to too passive. He's like, I should have found somewhere in the middle.
That's why it helps to discover your local gun range. You can enact violence on paper. And still.
Do some jujitsu or something, Get the stress out. Oh. But yeah, that... And then that guy dies too, and he's like, fuck. Like, no one listens to my stories. Well, like, after he sets the way the basement was set to self-destruct, he like takes off it. Oh yeah, and then during that time he finds his daughter's like bracelet under the couch. And he's like, and it's like, that was
you sneaky devil.
Yeah, and it's like, this is the thing that kind of set all these events into motion. Like, if I'd have just found this thing beforehand, I wouldn't have, like, 15 dead Russians in my basement. But then again, my life wouldn't be as fun as it is now. Oh, yeah, like, he goes, opens up. That's the other thing where I'm like, this movie has such, like, kind of John Wick-esque. So he, like, opens up his pinball machine in his man cave, and it's full of gold bars. I'm like, huh, that looks like a suitcase full of gold coins digging up out of the basement. It's like, are y'all just reusing, like, plot points from John Wick at this point?
I don't care. It worked. I mean, but this didn't have the length of a John Wick film either, though.
No, it was like I said,
it's only like an hour and a half.
Yeah, I mean, it was very, like, concise. Like I said, it's got that slow start, but then once, like you said, once the violence starts, it's like does not let off the gas much through the rest of the movie.
I appreciate that.
Yes, I do like a good, just dumb, violent movie.
I mean, it wasn't even dumb though. I mean,
no, I mean, it had like a good story, but it's like we don't get those. It's either an Expendables where it's just action movie, the plot doesn't matter, or it's something a little more like dark and gritty, and with the feels and stuff. Where like this is like a good balance of it had a good story and it had like great over the top violence, and being like kind of like the John Wick, it was you see him reload and like do like legit like tactical shit. It's like.
Although I do want to see somebody try to choke somebody with the gunsling, though. Like, I mean, ride the bull,
Yeah. Ride the bull. Oh, yeah, and I like when they, as we alluded to earlier, the old man actually being a badass too, because the Russian guys that also they sent two guys to like kill his dad. He's like, mafia guy's like, wipe out his whole family. And, they go in there and old man's like sleeping in his chair. And, dude pulls out like a 1911 and he just like reaches up and grabs it and sticks his pinky in the hammer so it doesn't go off. And then just like, dude's got a double barrel shotgun under his like fucking blanket. Just blows both of them like, gut shot them both with a double barrel shot. And the nurse like wakes up and runs in there and he's like watching his cowboy films like, damn it, Billy, turn that shit down. Yeah, sorry.
Well, he's got his hand, cupped around the one dude's, mouth so he can't scream or anything. Like,
yeah. As he's kind of like watches him until he dies and just kind of just pats him on his face.
Dad, this went bad. Be ready. Oh, I'm ready.
Yeah, Dad's got a whole lot of wish a motherfucker would in it. Oh, but yeah. And then he goes and like, kind of like when John Wick burned the stash house. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna burn all the Russian retirement fund here that he's responsible for defending." And then goes the dude's as like the most balls. Goes the dude's like nightclub, and like the guy's on stage singing and dancing. He looks out and sees Hutch in the audience, like just having a steak, not a care in the world,
front and center.
Yeah. And he like rolls up and he's like, "Are you enjoying your meal?" Like with like all his hitmen around him. He's like, it's okay. I just came for the show. And he's like, you got a lot of balls to coming in here. And he like lifts up his napkin and he's got a freaking Claymore Mind like hooked to like a pull ring. And he's like, maybe I do. Maybe I do. He's like, why don't we just have a chat? And like, he's like, there's a violent part of me that has been reawakened. And he really hopes like you want to continue this fight. Or he's like, he really wants to see how this all plays out. But the more reasonable part of me that's what's left of it is like, we should both just call it even and walk away. We can both rebuild. I mean, I blew up your house and all your funds, but you probably got a nest egg. You can retire somewhere and get out of here. I say we just kind of, you came at my family, which you don't fucking do. I fucked up your brother and burned all. Let's just call it even. But if you, decide to continue this, I'll be nearby. Oh yeah, when he burns down his house and he goes to leave and he's like, all right, I'm Breaking Bad anyway. Fuck this, I'm stealing that charger. And breaks the window and steals that dude's hot rod, and then go goes and buys his father-in-law's company that he's been working for, and then basically like closes, tells everybody that we're gonna be closed for a couple days due to electrical issue. Everybody go home, and then like we get a cool gear up montage of him like just freaking booby trapping the whole place and preparing for war.
Yeah, that whole scenario where you're talking about awakening the violence. So there's a book series that I became almost obsessed with. I don't even know how many books there are. I think I'm on the 8th or 9th one. But it's the Joe Ledger series, and he distinctly has like those 3 personality traits, and this reminded me so much of that. In Joe Ledger, he has the modern man, the police officer, and then the operator, aka the monster. And like him going through those different personalities very much reminded me of the dinner scene. Like,
yeah, I haven't read those books. I'm out of things to. Still got another like 3 months for the next Jack Carr books come out, so I need to get something to read. I got to check that out. And then there's that reminds me, I saw a preview that Jack Reacher TV series. This will be starting pretty soon on Amazon if it hasn't started already. The trailers for that looks pretty damn good. That might be another good violent thing to watch. But yeah, like I said, when Russian guy like I said, he goes out to his car and he's there just like fingers crossed. And at that point, I'm like, I don't know if he's praying that dude chooses to like continue the fight, or if he's praying that he's like, it's over with. So it's like it could go either way at that point. So I'm like, he's like, so got his fingers crossed. I'm like,
I say that he's looking for the fight to continue.
Yeah.
Just based on future events that we haven't got to yet, but he wants this fight.
But yeah, it's like at that point he's just sitting here like fingers crossed. I'm like, is he hoping for peace or hoping the fight continues? And sure enough, the fight continues, and there's a cool car chase back to the machine shop. But then when he gets out of his car, he gets like shot and pinned down before he can even make it into his booby-trapped building. And you're like, oh, he's kind of fucked. And then all of a sudden, like, glass breaks, and the RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan starts sniping dudes. He's like, hey, Hutch, remember when I said my white ass or my black ass wasn't gonna, come out of hiding to save your white ass? Well, I'm here saving your white ass. and then Christopher Lloyd, who, like I said, you kind of thought was just a old man, comes out like with like 6, like just a ton of shotguns like slung around him, and starts like popping off rounds and gets him into the building. And he's like our favorite line of the whole movie is like, Dad, you brought a lot of shotguns. He's like, well, you brought a lot of Russians.
That's very true.
And then he's like, I get what you did, son. I tried to retire, eat early dinner, walk the quad, just live a calm life, and it was good. But god damn, I miss this. And then like the most epic 10-minute gunfight of
like
3 dudes taking on like the entire like Russian mafia. Even like the RZA being the sniper. I've never seen anyone use a sniper rifle for CQB, but that shit works. I mean, when he at one point like shoots like 3 dudes.
Dude, you
at
never
once.
played Call of Duty and no scope somebody?
I mean, he just gets up into like a hallway, and one dude like grabs his suppressor, and he's got like a quick detach. Who just like snaps the rifle, and the silencer comes off, and he shoots one guy behind him and butt strokes the guy in front of him, and then takes like the silencer and cracks another dude in the head with it, and then shoots like the 3 dudes, like 1 shot, 3 kills, and it's like, damn.
Sniper rifle go whoop.
And Christopher Lloyd like fucking people up with the shotguns, and he's like, Dos Vidania, and like shoots the hanging bag full of like nail bombs that just blows a bunch of dudes up. And like the mouse traps with shotgun shells through the walls. I was like, oh, and the air cannon full of rebar. I'm like, this is badass.
Oh yeah.
And while they're playing like like weird like old music that like doesn't really go with like.
Well, no, I mean I love these, that almost like I think Quentin Tarantino
Was it like
was
Sinatra
kind
or
of
something?
like
it was like kind of
the pioneer of we're gonna have some nice cabaret style music to some very extreme violence.
Yeah, like any other movie, this would be like fucking Motley Crue or something, like some like some serious like metal or something. But it's like no, they're like
Motley Crue's classic rock now.
Yeah. Oh, we're old. But yeah, it was like freaking Sinatra and like kind of like that old school gangster music, and it's like, it's just like such like calming music to go with like this the uber violence that's I just love that contrast in musical cues versus what you're actually seeing on screen.
Yes. Yeah, that definitely seems to be, the thing.
Oh, and how he takes out the final boss, because like they get shot, they're all out of ammo, and he's like, "Is everybody out of ammo?" And he's like, "Yeah."
Was this the final boss though? Because there was no helicopter.
Yeah, no helicopter, no tank either. But somehow he was like the one survivor. So he's like, "Fuck, we're all out of ammo. The last thing I got is this pocket claymore. Everybody needs a pocket claymore." And just like has like a bulletproof shield that's like basically like a safety shield from one of the machines, and like duct tapes the freaking claymore to the front of the shield, and he's like, "Everybody dies. Just some of us die sooner than others," and like jumps up and just like runs at the guy and like freaking blows up the damn claymore and like launches himself across the room. I'm like,
I mean, I get it,
that's
front
badass.
toward enemy, but at the same time, like this is another one of those. Is that survivable?
Too bad we don't have the Mythbusters anymore. Well, I mean, that's the way those guns are bombs are designed. It's a shaped charge. It only fires in like one direction. So you're supposed to be able to basically set them up on the outside of defensive positions. If they're overrun, they can blow the claymores and fuck up anything in front of them. So technically you can be fairly close to like the backside of those, but you still you think there would be some kind of like just the pressure wave of that thing going off, even if you're not getting any shrapnel coming back at you. But then again, he did have the shield that I guess soaked up a lot of that. But yeah, he probably would have been dead. If nothing else, he'd definitely be deaf at this point, going, "What? What'd y'all say?"
I'm not hard of hearing. I just
and he sends his dad and his brother off. He's like, "I got the fallout. Y'all take off. I'll clean this up." And like before all this happened, his daughter's like, "We need a real cat." He's like, "Yeah, that's just what I was thinking." Sure enough, finds a stray cat in the and all that mess. And I just love like him at the police station, and he's like pulls out in handcuffs, just beat to shit. Pulls out a cigarette, lights it, reaches in his pocket, pulls out a can of tuna and a can opener, and they're just watching him and like then pulls a fucking cat out of his jacket and starts like feeding the cat, and they're just like, "Who the fuck are you?" And he's just like, I'm nobody. And they're like, "Is that all you got to say?" He's like, That's answer enough." And they're like, "I don't think so." And then all of a sudden all their phones start ringing, and it's like the government is like, "Yeah, forget you ever met this man. Just go about your business. We'll take care of this."
That's some like deep state shit. Like,
so yeah, I'm kind of like John Wick. Well, I guess I'm back. I'm assuming he's coming out of retirement and going back to work, and like, you know what? I think I can kill people and still be a family man. So it like jumps 3 months ahead, and he's they're shopping for a house, and then like I guess he's like, I'm off the grid. I'm not carrying my phone. Like somebody calls the realtor, and he's like, "It's a call for you." And he's like, just listens to it for a second, doesn't say anything, and he's like, "So does this house come with a basement?" It's like, it's time to build my next panic room for the family, because it looks like I'm going back to work. And then you get dad and his brother like in a Winnebago driving cross country to somewhere, and he's like, "So tell me about the 3 guys." He's like, "I killed 3 guys with 1 shot." "Ah, bullshit. I still don't believe you." Just thing a dad would do to. He's like, why are we driving this fucking? Like, why can't we fly? He's like, do you really want to carry this luggage on a plane? And then it looks back and like the Winnebago's just full of guns. It's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, I want a Winnebago full of guns.
I guess it's better than the Quagmire equivalents, the wanna bang you.
Yeah, it is a Winnebago. Winnebago. Yeah, there you go. I mean, this movie didn't make money. They made it for relatively cheap. $16 million. It made $56 million. At a time when, like I said, most theaters were closed. Kind of.
And ammo prices are extremely high.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of had to like see this, buy it online because there wasn't a whole lot of places to see this when it first came out. That's kind of why I saw the trailers and looked cool, but just missed it when it was in theaters. But yeah, I like the fact that it's uber violent action movie, but it doesn't.
I mean, it doesn't try to draw. It doesn't try to draw things out, and it does a really good job, of keeping you in the dark until it's time, for action to take place.
Yeah, and like
and we still don't know entirely what, or who he really is. Like,
do you think we get a sequel of this? Like,
I mean, that's the thing is, this closed this chapter, but that call with the realtor certainly set the stage for there to be a sequel. But, I'm wondering,
because you can't tell the story again. Him going from retired dude to like ultra violence. I mean, the next movie it's just going to be him being an operator the whole time.
Well,
maybe it's like
at the same time, like, look what they did with John Wick. I mean, they've set the stage, and what does everybody enjoy out of the John Wick films now? It's the fucking action, So, I mean, do we want to see, Hutch continue to do badass action shit? I do.
Yeah, I mean, whatever story they tell next will definitely be different from this story, but that's a good thing.
And I mean, the thing is, like, yeah, they sheltered, the daughter's eyes when they came out of the safe room, from all the carnage and everything else, but his son saw that shit. So, at this point, son now knows that, oh, dad's a legit badass. Like, does he take the son in under his wing and say, hey, we're going to do some badass mercenary shit together. Because father, son,
grandpa,
so, I mean, the legacy continues.
Or do we get, now that he has a pet cat, do we get full John Wick? Somebody kills his cat and he's got to get vengeance.
Oh, dude, cat's a legit asshole. It's not going to get killed. Man's best friend is man's best friend, and that's its weakness.
It's like a meme I saw the other day, and it was like somebody kicking
if anything, we're going to see the cat just, over there fucking biting the ears of dead bodies.
Yes. Drinking blood. It's kind of that meme I saw the other day. It was like a person with a dog, and somebody comes up and starts kicking the shit out of him, and the dog bites the person attacking him. There was like person with a cat. Dude comes up and starts kicking the shit out of him, and the cat gets up and starts helping him kick the shit out of him. That's cats for you right there. It's like, oh, you're beating somebody? I want to beat somebody too. This is fun. Cats got no loyalty.
No. They give zero fucks. Mm-mm. You have cats. You know this.
Yeah, they give zero fucks. They're like, we'll either bite anybody or we'll get petted by anybody. It depends on our mood.
I'm going to bite you as you pet me. Like,
it's like, you're petting me. It's cool. And it's not cool. I'm biting you. You will play with me with, like, the exact amount of time I tell you to play with me. After that, it's game on. That's like my little cat. It's like, if you try to pick it up, it will, like, claw and try to get out of your arms unless it, like, comes up wanting to be picked up. So it's like, all right, it's got to meow 3 times. 3 times is like, all right, it's safe to, like, pick you up and, like, hold you. Because if you try to just walk up and pick her up, she's like, fuck you.
Cat's disarmed.
Yeah. You got to put in the code. The Konami code for cats.
The cat Nami code.
So, as we kind of wrap this up, I mean, you got some highlights we've not talked about yet. Anything we've missed?
I think for me, the acquisition of, the warehouse, production facility, metal shop, whatever the fuck it is. Like, it doesn't really say what it is. But, he just walks in with the gold bars and is like, I want to buy the place. And, cocky, former... I think they say he's like former Marine or something like that earlier on, when the kid's like, hey, I've got to, do this report, and Dad, you were in the service, and he's like, oh, no, son, I didn't see any action.
I was just an auditor.
You need to talk to your uncle. And,
he was a real soldier.
Yeah.
But yeah, he seems like a douchebag.
You see the uncle, like, the fuck? And he just, gives him the nice gut shot and is like...
And then takes care of him. He's like, all right, sit down, breathe deep. He's like, what am I supposed to do? I don't fucking care. But like before that, he was discussing with his father-in-law. He's like, saw your offer about buying the place, but it's not a great offer. If I want to sell this place, I want to make some good money on it. He's like, why do you want this anyway? He's like, I just want something of my own. And then when he shows up with like the gold, he's like, okay, that's the offer I was looking for. I will take it.
So, yeah, that to me, I thought was pretty cool. Because you're like, fuck you want this place for? But then you find out, this is the place that he knows in and out.
This is where I set up the death trap.
Yes.
And then all the booby traps, like the first one he sets off, he's just got a grenade and a hydraulic press. And I'm like, I want to see the hydraulic press channel test that one. I don't know if he can get a hold of a grenade, but yeah, it's like, speaking of Mythbusters, yeah, let's call the hydraulic press channel guy and see if he will press a grenade.
Got a grenade for ya.
And also as we wrap up, final thoughts on, I'm about halfway through this Kill Bill so far, and it has picked up in strength. It's got kind of a balance of that pepperiness mixed with like just a kind of a not a real strong sweetness, just kind of like a hint of sweetness with the pepper. And I do like a sweet and salty, that that kind of spicy and sweetness together is kind of a good combo, and it's definitely, at least at the halfway point, has picked up in strength. I mean, it's not like the super strong stuff I normally smoke, but it's got enough there to keep my attention so far.
Nice. So it does have a transition. Stands out on its own. Seems like it's shaping up to be a pretty decent cigar. This is definitely one just... I mean, dude, the aroma is awesome coming off of it. And it's not extremely smoky.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this is the one that's definitely worth a try. They literally just came out. I mean, these showed up in our local shop, I don't know, 3 or 4 days ago. So, yeah, probably be showing up in your shops here soon, if not already. So if you can find one, give it a try. It's worth and they don't have any...
I just have one question.
What's that?
Can you wiggle your big toe?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And watch Kill Bill and smoke a Kill Bill.
I'm gonna need to borrow Amanda's sword. I mean, it's not a katana, but it'll work.
Get you a pussy wagon.
Yes, something with a functioning radio. That was another highlight too that we didn't talk about.
What's that?
When he, takes neighbor's car. You see him like, all right, well, neighbor's got a badass car. I'm now doing badass shit. I too should have a badass car.
Yeah, he's just like, fuck this sedan I stole. I'm gonna go steal me if we're gonna go, balls to the wall, we're gonna go full balls to the wall. And then like every time he's like, hell, when they're in their car chase, he's like throwing in like the old school cassette and playing some nice 80s hair metal, which is what you expected to see for the action sequences. So you got it for the rolling gunfight, but then when you got into like the warehouse fight, it like switches to like Sinatra or something.
I mean, it's a good contrast. It works.
Yeah, but
I mean, if you're looking for 80s hair metal throughout, then you should just check out the Peacemaker series.
Have you watched the latest episode of that?
I have not seen episode 6 yet.
All I got to say is piano cover of Motley Crue. I'm Coming Home or whatever. I don't know. Was it? I can't remember. But he does a piano cover of Motley Crue. It's
that's
beautiful.
a legit thing.
And it's literally John Cena playing it. I've seen like the behind the scenes like videos of it. It's not like, faked for film. He literally can play the piano.
You can't see John Cena. You don't know if he's actually playing it or not. You can't see me.
And with that, we'll be right back.